Yo, yo, yo! Recreational hydrocephaly coming to you live from an iPhone 7. That was in my dresser, thankfully, because my phone crapped out. I just wanted to wax on poetically about the 3-section staff that I got the other day, and it's such a cool weapon. So like when you swing a nunchuck, you like whip it, right? And it's the same thing with the 3-section staff. It's essentially a rigid whip, and so you're whipping that end of it. And that whip is anytime you get a whip going, it's pretty crazy in terms of force generation. The staff, you grab it with the middle section, right? And then you have the other section tied to the middle section with a chain. And so as you start to throw it, once you get the coordination down, you can yank on the butt of the middle section, and that yanking does a fulcrum lever effect, and so it essentially lets you use your whole body, connected to your arm or your hand, and you use your whole body, and you can assist your wrist strength. And so that wrist strength is really that's where a lot of the limitations of how hard you can whip comes into the wrist. And so with the 3-section staff, once you get coordinated with assisting the flick at the end with your I guess your non-dominant hand, you have essentially infinite wrist strength. So you can do whipping attacks with that 3-section staff that are I don't know how powerful it could get. It's pretty crazy. And these mechanics, right? These mechanics bleed down into your everyday body mechanics. So like if you use nunchucks or a flail and you get good at introducing that whip into the nunchuck, you can kick the same way. Like your body mechanics can mimic the weapon mechanics. Right, so like with the 3-section staff, you're doing this one. This is your activity is like, here I'm gonna whip the flail, and then with this other part of my body, I'm going to counter lever and assist the part that's like flicking, and that does way more than just directly assisting with 2 hands. And so then that body mechanic can bleed down into your everyday motions, to where you're not just moving your fist or grabbing the object. You can be posting, moving one body part, fulcruming it, and then really cranking on that fulcrum with the rest of your body, and you can get this series of if you look at the body as a series of levers and pulleys and fulcrums. You can for any movement pattern, you can put a fulcrum on a fulcrum, and it's a coordination thing. So once you get the coordination and the perception to be doing a fulcrum movement and then fulcruming the fulcrum, once you're able to do that, then the power output, it's like exponential. It's like logarithmic power output. When you're flinging a fling, right? It's like this whip, and then that thing where you're whipping the whip, you're fulcruming the fulcrum, that then travels down the final whip or the final fulcrum, and it's tremendous power output, and it's not based off of just how strong your muscles are, or your actin and your myosin, and so you can see really quickly how people can jump really high. Muscular strength helps, but your muscles are only the base level lever pulley system, fulcrum type thing. and that's great. So that's basic muscular strength. But then if you really look at your body and how it works, and you can kind of look at like, okay, lever pulley, fulcrum, and then as that thing that's fulcruming moves through space, if your perception can track it as it moves through space, you can throw it. So you can have something being thrown and then throw it at the end of that, and it's just and so 3-section staff is like it's wow. Everybody wants to like whip these things around and all that, and really the interesting part about weapons work is mimicking how the weapon works. Like, so like a sword is single-minded to a point, right? So you can, if you copy that with the sword, obviously you're single-minded and one-pointed, and that's like very useful skill. But with the flails and stuff like that, you're you're a motion on a motion on a motion. With nunchucks, it's just a motion on a motion, but with a 3-section staff, it's a motion on a motion on a motion. And then if you can copy that, then your ankle strength is suddenly something on the end of your knee strength, and your knee strength is something on the end of your hip strength. And for all of those to chain together to generate ridiculous power, it's a neurological coordination thing. Your mind has to be fast enough and sharp enough to align those things. And if once you can do that effortlessly, once it's easy, once that coordination pattern is easy, then like really nasty explosive power output just becomes like a little second afterthought, just a flick of the wrist, a flick of the whatever, instead of like ah! And so that's another, like, it's a cool demonstration of like any sort of skill developmental path. Is the straightforward path that people think they're getting on is they go, I want to get stronger. Okay, I'm going to get my muscles stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and that kind of has this linear progression and it plateaus. Whereas like if you're sitting here and you go, I want to understand what's happening. Oh, I see a fulcrum. Oh, and there's a fulcrum behind that fulcrum, and then whew, that progression is like all of a sudden 10 times stronger, because the fulcrum's giving your muscular strength like a 10x power ratio. And there's fluidic gearing in the body too. Like if you're able to stay with it, all of the water is geared together in infinitely, like of this the fluidic coupling of the fluidic coupling of the electromagnetic cycles, the water cycles, the spirals, the vortexes, those all link together in the water. And so when you have those, that's this like constantly gear system, this mechanical linkage that's constantly creating and destroying itself. So as you push into something from that system, you're using the fluidic fulcrum, and then that also tends to tap you into, you know, what some could say is infinite power, power that is so infinite that it washes, you are obliterated in it. If you touch the infinite power of the fluidic fulcrums in the body, it's like a squirrel running on a power line, and like, so don't chase it that far. Just chase the fulcrums in the joints, like in the body, and you'll get more and more powerful, and you won't obliterate yourself. The instant that you like start looking at the applying that to the energetic fulcrums of like the chakras or the metabolic cycles of each organ, the circulatory system, and just how the water, like within the circulatory system, the water is spiraling with like tiny little eddies. And if you see that links together so much that you can't control the power, because you can't exist in its presence. And so that's, a lot of people will pursue God that way, or pursue power, like even like an evil person will pursue ultimate power, and it's ironic because they'll get it and then they are annihilated in the presence of that power, because that power is probably God's power. It's so interlinked into everything and drawing on everything that how could anyone harness it? You would be part of it. So